I'm Whitney Van. Welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in today's show, meet the woman behind the family that's been serving the underserved more than 80 years.
I just continue to do what I feel that is right. We have to take care of each other, especially the poor is always going to be around, so we have to feed the poor and love each other and encourage each other.
See how Owen's Grocery dishes out nourishment to its neighbors in every way. Then the hottest summer read in South Louisiana and the man behind this historical novel. Then Dr. Nick on the power of critical thinking.
Critical thinking is when we question, when we're curious enough to say how many sides or different perspectives are there to the issue. Critical thinking is trying to take the emotion out of it and looking at something objectively.
But first, Owen's Grocery first opened its doors in 1938. It has provided the neighborhood of Valley Park with much more than just food. It's been the heart and the glue that has held this neighborhood together. Caring for others is always a daily special at Owen's Grocery.
Now this is my liver and onions.
Cynthia Green's parents, David and Emma Owens, started it 80 years ago after her dad retired from Standard Oil.
Him and my mother, they stayed in the store together, raised 11 children, and we were all reared up in the stores, well, next door in the store.
Owen's General Store filled a void in Baton Rouge's Valley Park neighborhood then and now.
My father did find there was a need for the community because it was a poor community, and so he got lumber from the Standard Oil place, built, it was a smaller store, and he put nails and shingles and different commodities in here and medicines, and we even had a little service station out there where where that sign is. They call it a filling station then.
It's been the gathering place for 4 generations. Leother Dupas has been coming here since he was 3, 65 years.
Mr. Owens would credit everybody, and we would pay once a month. My mother would pay once a month and for the groceries that she bought, and she usually get enough to take care of the family to that time. He was a very generous man. He took care of the neighborhood, whatever. Somebody needed something, he would get it, give it, wherever it's needed at.
It was one of the few places blacks and whites shopped together.
They'd ride their horses down here, and we had benches on the front where they would tie the horses up and come and get feed for their horses or nails or shingles or whatever my father had to sell, because this was the only place that was there. It wasn't a Walmart then, and it wasn't a Albertson, so they came here.
Her mom sold po' boy sandwiches or a hot lunch to hungry customers for 41 years. Cynthia and her husband took over the business in 1979, expanded the menu, and offered breakfast too.
I told my husband, I said, people get tired of the sandwiches, let's try a breakfast, so we did the breakfasts. But we've always had hot cooked meals, always on the stove.
Meals just like her mama made. She still uses her recipes, but has added a few more. But down-home soul food still dominates.
Pigtails, neck bones, turkey wings, fish. We just did the basics, and we still offer the basics. That's a soul food recipes down here. We do lasagna. We have gravy steaks on Thursdays. We do fettuccine. We do shrimp creole. We do pretty much everything a large restaurant does. It's just on a smaller basis.
They still sell groceries, but mostly just the staples.
The reason why we changed it because they had other stores creating around us. Albertson, A&P, I think it was A&P a long time ago, Walmart, and different service stations. So we couldn't compete with those people. We could not compete because, you know, those people buy in volume. That's the reason why we decided to just downsize and just go with hot lunches, because people were hungry too. And sometimes we gave away more than we took in, but that's what we did.
Like her parents, whatever the need, she's there.
I just try to open my doors just to if whatever they need, if they need just talking to her, and some of them go out and maybe not have the money, too ashamed to say they don't have money. I'll just go back out and say, are you hungry? Would you like something? And if they say, oh yes, come on back in, I'm gonna give you something.
She's almost like a chip off the old block, you know. She keeps it up. She's determined. She's committed. She has all the mother's love and care for the neighborhood.
An invaluable asset in this high-crime neighborhood. However, Owen's Grocery provides a bubble of security and safeguards lacking in other parts of Valley Park. V. Galliano's lived right around the corner for 8 years. She feels completely safe.
I love it here. There are neighbors around, they look out for each other. And of course, we have the Jewel over here. She's always looking around, and Mr. Green as well, checking everything out.
Remarkably, in its 80-year history, Owen's Grocery's never been robbed.
There's too much love come out of this store for them to think about that.
It's the way we treat everybody. They can come in, and if they're hungry, we're gonna give it. You know, and they give me that respect, Miss Green. You know, we love you, and you know, thank you. We've had one homeless person came and just played guitar for me and got some food.
4 years ago, she was moved to start a Saturday soup kitchen.
I just decided, along with my daughters, they said, Mama, that's a good idea if you open up your store, because you know the neighbors come here to purchase things, and sometimes they don't have a lot of money, especially some of the young children.
How do you pay for it?
Well, I just do it. I'm always blessed. If it's not a church member giving me something, you know, Mr. Cliff at Betar, he's helped me. Lamar, you know, they always putting a case of chicken in, or I just do what I do. You know, it works out at the end. I don't know. God blesses me anyway. You know, I do it, and it comes right back at me. You know, so I keep doing it. I can't tell you how I do it.
More blessings are happening from neighbors across the interstate. St. Aloysius Church, they're spearheading Neighbor Fest in Valley Park. Kim Hardman says it's an offshoot of their St. Vincent de Paul ministries underway there now.
We go into the homes, we meet them, we pray with them, we see how we can help in any way with their rent or their utilities or water, food and groceries. We bring books for the children, we read books with the children, and mostly we pray.
I'm very excited. I'm elated about it.
3,000 neighbors came out for a similar event St. Aloysius hosted 2 years ago.
It's great all coming together and loving one another and getting to know them.
Neighbor Fest will also celebrate Owen's Grocery's 80th anniversary and salute all their neighborly love. Vanessa says they make you feel like family.
I love her though. I love her. Just like a second mom to me. My mom passed when I was 7, but that's a mom to everybody. Mom, grandmom, aunt, whatever you need. Yes. And her siblings, her grandkids, her children, husband, all of them has that same in them as she do.
Everyone in Cynthia's big family works in the grocery or drops in often to help out.
They can do everything I can do in here, but I don't know who would take it over.
Yeah.
I would love for them to be encouraged to do something, because I can't last always.
Right. We think we can, but one day that day will come. But I think those are many days away.
Yeah. Oh yes, I'm hoping God gives me a little more time, you know, to do what I'm supposed to do.
Always pouring heart and soul into everything.
We have to take care of each other, especially the poor is always going to be around, so we have to feed the poor and love each other and encourage each other. My father, I guess he was a person that, you know, opened his heart to anybody. I was proud of that. He taught me well.
They serve up breakfast and lunch from 7 a.m. to 4 Monday through Friday, and if you haven't had a chance to eat here, come on by. You'll love it. And still ahead, Yellow Jack, the Louisiana author who turned our history into a masterful novel, and why it needs to be on your summer reading list. Plus, Dr. Nick differentiates critical thinking and being critical as Weekends with Whitney continues. Summer camp, where your child's next big adventure awaits.
Where I explored nature. Where I splashed in the summer.
Where I scored the winning point.
Where I reached new heights. Where we beat the summer heat. Where I took a walk on the wild side. Where I used my imagination.
Breck Summer Camp registration begins March 24th. Give your child the adventure of a lifetime. So sign up today.
Go Roof is proud to serve the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas with our years of experience and quality service. We want more than just your roofing needs. Go Roof cares about the client and wants you to be our customer for life. Roof replacement, repair, vents, and more. Go Roof will get it done. We have excellent standing relationships with all the top insurance companies, so making your claim is fast and easy. A beautiful roof every single time at Go Roof. Call now for a free estimate.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. If you're looking for a new summer read, look no further than Yellow Jack, the latest novel out by a Louisiana author that is a treasure of a book.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I love your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yellow Jack is author Renee Uzzi's first. It happened by chance.
In 1996, I bought a piece of property in Plaquemine Parish, and that property was at one point named Fanny Plantation. And so when I went to do research on Fanny to learn a little bit more about it, I couldn't find anything, but I found a lot of important information about Plaquemine Parish, the mouth of the river, and an island that was discovered by LaSalle in 1682 that I had never heard of.
Renee's journey through history stopped him in his tracks when he read about Louisiana's yellow fever epidemic. It began in the late 1700s and didn't end until 1905.
I found out more about the history of New Orleans and yellow fever and how the political climate was at the time and so forth, and that's what got me interested.
Wrapped around historic facts, Renee created a fictional book that transports its readers back in time to a New Orleans few know about.
What they ate and drank, how they felt about it, the turmoil, the mental and emotional anguish that was going on during these times. I mean, you can imagine. It was a horrible way to die. It's a horrible way.
In 2003, he started writing for himself and just a few family members. 15 years later, it's a book for everyone, thanks to his editor.
Even though I was doing it for the family and any friends that might have wanted a copy, I'd still wanted it right. And so I gave it to an editor who was in his 70s and had been a professor of writing and so forth, and literature for years. And she convinced me. She said, you know, you need to do something more with this than to get 3 copies made. She said, this is something that all historical readers need to see.
Wow.
You've not just created a book here, you created something that's going to go on forever.
Renee was shocked.
And I thought, really? And I just couldn't get that, couldn't grasp that, because this was just something I had fun doing. It wasn't something I was doing for a living or anything like that. I just had fun with it.
Fun is only one of the many reasons it took him 15 years to write it.
I'm from New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina got me. I came up here. I put it away. I was diagnosed with leukemia. I was dealing with lupus. I mean, just all kind of things. You know, my life was kind of changed, and then I opened up my business. And again, I was just doing it for me. I wasn't on a deadline.
Right.
I was in no hurry. It didn't matter. And I remember somebody told me, said, "Man, you're gonna die writing that." I said, "Well, I'm gonna die doing something I enjoy. What's the difference?"
Clients like Dion Smith shared that journey with him.
My husband and I have known Renee for several years. Been coming to him to get our hair cut for a long time, and every time we're here, of course, he tells us stories on the progress of the book, which I think is just, I've always thought it's fascinating that somebody could do this.
Renee includes unique elements throughout the book, from changing font styles to New Orleans' most famous recipes.
I'm starting to believe that had I learned in school how to do this, how to write, that I may not have added all that, but I thought that it would be more fun. I wanted it to be fun, informative, creative, and, you know, give the reader some breaks in the dialogue where they could enjoy some of the illustrations that were done by Mr. David Norwood, and just, like you said, the newspaper headlines and the documents. It was all fun to me, and that's why I did that.
579 pages long. Many warned him it was too long.
Guys that wrote books before, it's too large, it's too much to read.
His editor disagreed.
She said, "Oh, no. Let me look at this." And then when she did, she said, "No, you don't need to change anything here. In fact, we're probably going to add a few pages."
That's incredible.
That's exactly what happened, yep.
I'm not a fast reader. It will take me a long time, but I'm gonna do it.
It will probably get them through the summer. It'll take a summer, at least.
If you'd like a copy, go to yellowjackbook.com to find a bookseller near you. And still ahead, Dr. Nick on critical thinking skills we all need to master and how to do it. As Weekends with Whitney continues.
We move fast and we fly high. We light the way for others to follow. We make it happen. But what really matters is what happens when we land at home. Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Fly easy.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Each morning in Baton Rouge, we rise to meet opportunity. We carry the weight of responsibility proudly. We choose our paths. We move fast and we fly high. We light the way for others to follow. We make it happen. But what really matters is what happens when we land at home. Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Fly easy.
there's criticism and there is critical thinking, and they're completely different. Dr. Nick joins us to explain why.
Don't you think? What would your gut say? What's criticism? If I'm always critical of you.
You're insulting.
Insulting, negating, complaining, seeing the dark side, seeing what you're not. Seeing what you're not instead of what you are. What critical thinking? Evaluating, weighing. We can't spend every moment of our day critical thinking on a decision because we'll go crazy.
Okay.
Some things are going to be automatic, like how we get to the store. I'm not going to sit around and think, well, is there a better way? Now, sometimes if the traffic's bad, we might get into critical thinking.
Sure.
In terms of what might be my alternatives. That's critical thinking. Critical thinking is when we question, when we're curious enough to say how many sides or different perspectives are there to the issue. Critical thinking is trying to take the emotion out of it and looking at something objectively.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can. Let me give you just a couple of quick examples, or one just for the start. How many apps do we need? Don't you think that's a perfect question today for anyone, especially young people. How many apps do we need?
Right. Probably not the 40 on my phone.
And don't you think it would be critical thinking to sit back and say, you know, I never use this app. Boop.
Right.
What am I holding on to it for? What do I want it for? It's just critical thinking. Or when I want to say something like, well, I think he's doing a great job, and that may be my emotion because I like him. And critical thinking would be looking at the data, looking at the facts, searching for what really is he doing instead of I just like him. Don't you think we need more of that in our national dialogue?
Oh, please.
Less emotion and more critical thinking. What about critical thinking of my own posture, my own stance, my own political leanings?
See, that's where I think critical thinking gets difficult when we have to examine ourselves.
Of course it does.
How objective can I be?
Of course it does. And that objectivity is just absolutely, to me, critical in being able to then move it to the next decision.
Okay. To action, really.
Action. Let's look at Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Critical thinking in terms of
the city as a whole.
Streets.
Oh, traffic.
The bridge to Lafayette. I don't know that we're ever going to be able to figure it out. But man, talk about something that needs critical thinking.
Sure.
And I'm not necessarily saying that
problem.
it needs another study.
There've been plenty of those. That's the data you were talking about. But then we have to move on to how are we really going to fix this?
Yeah, and decisions have to be made. But I just think with weighing things and looking at, again, possibilities, this is why I think people, remember the TED study that we talked about where the researcher was saying that the greatest factor of longevity is social interaction?
Yes.
And connecting with people? How does critical thinking come to be? When we are with people that are different, that express different views, but that themselves are not tied up in emotion, that are somewhat rational. Well, this is what I think about this. Or someone was saying, you know, immigrants pull themselves up, and all immigrants have done that, and that's the way it ought to be. And I started thinking about that, and I said, I wouldn't call African Americans immigrants.
Right.
I am not suggesting that anybody I just wouldn't. I think we got to be real critical thinking when it comes to immigration. Huh?
Exactly. And people from other countries.
And people from other countries, or people who were brought in by chains. Not to say that there's not a current model, but let's be critical in our thought process.
Sure, absolutely. I like that. Thank you. I'm going to go forward this week and make sure I do some critical thinking on big things.
When it comes to making choices, don't you think just real quick, don't you think you need to do critical thinking when you're asked to do all sorts of things? And the best thing to say is let me think about it.
You have given
me think about it.
24-hour
and then
rule.
you decide that's not the best place for me to spend that energy or that time, or I've got to get this done.
You're right.
It's now we're into, again, where am I putting the time? Where am I putting the energy? It's critical thinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that with this upcoming Saturday. I've got too many things on the plate. I'm never going to do any of them well if I don't shave a few things off. So there you go.
And you can do that, by the way. Right. And you can do that without insulting people. You can just say, I overloaded the plate. I'm sorry. You're right. But do it soon. I don't know that I'd wait till Friday.
That's right. That's important. Don't, because sometimes unpleasant things, disappointing things, right. I drag my feet on. So
that's right.
I'm not going to do that.
That's good.
They'll find someone else.
That's good, Whitney, because that's also critical thinking in that, I can do this.
Right.
I can do this.
Thanks, Dr. Nick.
Bye. Just don't criticize.
Yeah.
Critical thinking is different.
Thanks so much for that reminder. More Weekends with Whitney after this.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
9-time winner of the prestigious GMC and Buick Mark of Excellence Award. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for sharing your time with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Now, we leave you with this.
I'll make up for all those times. Your love